Okay, so I know you woke up to the same thing I woke up to on Sunday. You woke up, maybe you were getting ready for church, maybe you weren't, but you saw there had been a Mormon church in Michigan that had been attacked. And we're still sorting out, sifting through the details on the why, but the why is actually not what I want to talk about tonight, not at least right now in the opening. We'll get to some why here in a moment. I want to just go back to something I discussed with you before. Remember when I said this back in July? This is now going to increase from here. Organized, planned street violence, and the animals who commit this kind of violence are going to move on from hard targets like Bortak, and they're going to come to your church. They're going to come to your child's school. They're going to find soft targets where they can hurt the people they want to hurt. They're not going to accept failure forever. This is not to get you to hide or even be afraid or stay in your home. This is to let you know to keep your eyes open, carry if you can, and be ready to protect yourself, because organized street communism in this country is going to increase from here. Okay. Now, before we get to the actual communism portion of this, let's just focus on the nitty-gritty, what matters to you, what matters to me. The safety of our loved ones, safety of ourselves. You know what I've done in the past week? I've done both of these things in the past week. I sat down at my children's school and had a discussion with the leadership there about the security at the school. Now, don't get me wrong, the school has security, all the little buzz, locked doors, armed police, but I looked around and I thought to myself, if I was a suicidal demon who wanted to hurt these kids, could I? And the answer to that question was yes. Remember, it's something we've learned after years and years and years of dealing with Islamic jihad. It's extremely, extremely difficult to stop someone who is willing to die or wants to die. Extremely, extremely difficult. And you have to put yourself in that mindset when you look at your child's school. If someone is willing to die in order to kill these kids, can they get to these kids? And most schools, for most schools, the answer to that question is yes. Now, I said I did a couple things this past week. You know what I did yesterday? It was actually during church. It was during the worship service. Just kind of felt compelled, got up, walked out, and just started doing what we would know as a threat assessment. Walked out the front doors, looked around, took a look at the security, took a look at the rent-a-cop they have in the church. We'll get to that in a moment. Took a look at the back door, the nursery. If I was a suicidal demon and I wanted to come kill a bunch of Christians on a Sunday in my church, could I do it? And the answer was easily. Easily. Why? Back door's sitting there unlocked. Could have walked right in. Oh, but there's a cop there in uniform. There sure was. There was a cop there in uniform. You know what he was doing? I'm not even kidding. I actually stood there, and watched him for a few minutes just to see. In fact, I walked back and forth. I'm 6'8". Is he going to look up? Is he going to notice me? Is he going to register my face? He was sitting at a table on his phone like a teenage girl the whole time. If I was a demon, shoot, I could have killed him and then went and killed everybody else easily. Easily. Have you done this in your school, your church? It's fine if you haven't. Now's the time to do it. And once you do it, demand better. I told my school, children's school, look, we need more. This is not good enough. This is a target now. We live, sadly, in a country where schools are a target for demons. We have to try to protect it as if it's a target. Same thing in your house of worship, whatever that house may be. By the way, this applies to synagogues. If you have a house of worship, well, the mosques are probably okay, but that's another story. If you have a house of worship, are they doing enough Put yourself in the mind of a suicidal demon. Is your church a hard target, or is your church ripe for the picking? And don't say what you may be saying right now, even though I sympathize. I don't want to live in that world. I get it. I don't want to live in that world. I thought I was done having to look around for things like that. That is the world in which we've been given. You cannot wish it away, and neither can I. Start taking steps to ensure your soft targets, the soft targets in your life, are protected, because there are evil people everywhere. Now let's talk about the communist aspect of this. We have talked endlessly. It's been an endless discussion about elite communists and street communists on this show. Elite communists generally are not true believers. Sometimes they are. They're just out for money and power. These are media people, politicians, and they understand very well that they have foot soldiers, shock troops, street communists. Now the animals, the street communists, generally are true believers, almost always violent, mentally ill, sometimes drugged out, and they have been radicalized over and over and over again by the rhetoric from the elite communists. Elite communists give orders, not necessarily direct orders, hey, you go kill him, more like soft orders, more subtle orders, if you will. Hey, fascists are evil. Nazis are evil. That guy, he's a Nazi. Anyway, do with that what you will. And so in the wake of the murder of Charlie Kirk, maybe you thought that Democrats, people in the media, would stop the rhetoric. They would change the rhetoric. But not only have they not stopped, they have increased. This is courtesy of Western Lensman. Why have they increased it?
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of racist nationalism.
We are now living in a fascist dictatorship.
And we are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country. We're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government.
Not only to roll over to Donald Trump's will, but to roll over our democracy and allow him to take over this country as a fascist dictator.
When fascism isn't just coming, it's already here.
The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, said, "No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core."
Why? Because they want people hurt. You can keep telling a Democrat that your rhetoric is getting people hurt, but they know. That's why they do it. You are a good person, so you can't understand why they wouldn't stop. Why won't you change? Their political enemies are being hurt. They don't want it to stop. They're not going to stop. Did you know a Health and Human Services official was followed at the United Nations? They were at the United Nations, followed into the bathroom and assaulted by a street animal. You know what the street animal was calling them? Nazi, fascist. This is the result. And they're not backing away. Gavin Newsom is currently the likely Democrat nominee for president in the year 2028. Gavin Newsom's social media account, quote, this is after the assassination, "Stephen Miller is a fascist." They want you hurt. It's hard to accept. And the result of this is the animal communist base has come to accept, in fact, has come to desire their political opponents harmed. You see this video?
I don't want to be a violent person, but in this case, I feel like that we just need to, I hate to say the word, but assassinate him.
What was your reaction this July when the assassin almost got Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania?
I was happy.
Happy that he missed or happy that it happened?
No, happy that it happened.
Ah.
And too bad that it wasn't in the head.
What was your reaction in July when an assassin came an inch away from ending Trump?
Disappointment that they didn't follow through. They missed.
That shot,
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God. It could have been wonderful.
If he'd been shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can sum it up in one word.
Drat that it happened or drat that it missed?
Drat that it missed. I won't lie. I do not support violence in any way. I think I'm going to let you finish it, Charles. Go ahead.
I'm so shy and reserved. My thought was, if he'd had a good scope instead of a red dot, we would not be going through this. I consider that kid to be a hero. But that was an act of a patriot as far as I'm concerned.
That's why they do it. The endless rhetoric. And remember, this is not recent. 10 years of Trump's a Nazi, you're a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, you're a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, you're a Nazi. 10 years. What it has done is, my buddy Aaron McIntyre called it a moral blank check, and he's so right about that. It was a great line. It has given these people, it has given the street animals a moral blank check to do whatever they want. Because as we've discussed so many times before, what can't you do to a Nazi? If I had Hitler back alive, sitting in a room, just you and Hitler, and he's handcuffed, and you knew legally you couldn't get in trouble, and I had knives and hammers and guns and scissors sitting in front of you, what would you do? What would your moral code allow you to do to Hitler? This is exactly how they think about you, your church, your child's school, your political leaders in the media, and the elected officials. This is the situation we have now. It's an extraordinarily dangerous situation. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.